When most people think of helicopters, they picture modern aviation giants or famous inventors. But the true story goes much deeper, and the real father of the helicopter isn't always the name you see in textbooks. Long before rotor blades filled the sky, one brilliant mind laid the groundwork for vertical flight, designing concepts and machines far ahead of their time. His contributions reshaped aviation forever, even if history didn't give him the spotlight he deserved. In this video, we're uncovering the real father of the helicopter, the visionary who imagined a machine that could rise straight into the air, hover, and maneuver in ways airplanes never could. We'll explore his ideas, his prototypes, and the breakthroughs that made modern helicopters possible. Before we take off into this incredible story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the pioneers who shaped our world deserve to be remembered. The man everyone thinks invented it. Most people believe Igor Sikorsky invented the helicopter. He's famous for building the VS-300 in 1939, which became the first mass-produced helicopter in America. Sikorsky was a brilliant engineer, and his designs changed aviation forever. His company still makes helicopters today. But here's the truth. Sikorsky wasn't actually the first person to build a working helicopter. He improved on ideas that already existed and made them practical for everyday use. While his contributions were huge, calling him the inventor isn't completely accurate. The real inventor came decades earlier, and his story is far more interesting. The forgotten pioneer. The real father of the helicopter was Paul Cornu, a French engineer who most people have never heard of. In 1907, Cornu built and flew the first helicopter that could lift a human off the ground. His machine was made of steel tubes, bicycle parts, and two large rotors. On November 13, 1907, in Lisieux, France, Cornu climbed aboard his invention. The helicopter rose about 1 foot off the ground for roughly 20 seconds. It wasn't a long flight, but it was the first time in history that a rotating wing aircraft carried a person into the air. This moment changed everything, even though hardly anyone remembers it today. Cornu proved that vertical flight was possible, something many scientists thought was impossible at the time. What made Cornu's helicopter special was how he solved the biggest problem in helicopter design: stability. When a helicopter's rotors spin, they create torque that makes the whole machine want to spin in the opposite direction. Cornu figured out that if you use two rotors spinning in opposite directions, they cancel each other out. His helicopter had two rotors mounted side by side, each about 20 feet across. This counter-rotating design became the foundation for almost every helicopter built afterward. Without this breakthrough, helicopters as we know them wouldn't exist. Cornu also experimented with ways to control the aircraft's direction, though his control systems were still very basic. His genius was in understanding the physics and finding a practical solution with the limited technology available in 1907. The challenges he faced. Even though Cornu succeeded in getting his helicopter off the ground, his invention had serious limitations. The flight only lasted 20 seconds, and he could barely control where it went. The engine he used was weak and heavy, making longer flights impossible. The whole structure was also incredibly unstable, shaking violently whenever it lifted off. After a few test flights, Cornu realized he couldn't make his design practical with the technology of his time. He needed lighter engines, stronger materials, and better control systems, but none of those existed yet. Frustrated and running out of money, Cornu eventually abandoned his helicopter project. He shifted his focus to designing airplanes instead, which were more successful at the time. His helicopter experiments were forgotten, buried in old engineering journals that few people ever read. Other inventors who tried. Cornu wasn't the only person working on helicopters in the early 1900s. Around the same time, other inventors were attempting vertical flight with mixed results. In 1907, a man named Louis Breguet built a machine called Gyroplane Number 1, which also lifted off the ground. However, it needed several people holding on to it for stability, so many experts don't count it as a true free flight. In Denmark, Jacob Helliammer created a helicopter design, but it never achieved sustained flight. Later in the 1920s and 1930s, inventors in Spain, Germany, and Russia built experimental helicopters with varying degrees of success. Each of these pioneers contributed something valuable to helicopter development. But Cornu was the first to achieve actual free flight with a pilot on board, which is why he deserves recognition as the true inventor. Why did Sikorsky get all the credit? So, if Paul Cornu invented the helicopter first, why does everyone think Sikorsky did it? The answer is simple. Sikorsky made helicopters practical and useful. His VS-300 could actually fly for extended periods, carry passengers, and be controlled reliably. He turned the helicopter from a dangerous experiment into a machine that could save lives and serve in the military. Sikorsky also lived in America and had access to better funding, publicity, and manufacturing capabilities. He built a successful company and kept improving his designs for decades. Cornu, on the other hand, stopped working on helicopters and never promoted his achievement. Without anyone championing his work, history forgot about him. It's a common pattern in invention. The person who commercializes an idea often gets more credit than the person who first proved it was possible. His legacy today. Today, Paul Cornu is gradually gaining recognition for his pioneering work in aviation. Historians of flight now acknowledge him as the first person to achieve a manned helicopter flight, a remarkable milestone that marked the beginning of vertical human flight. Some museums have begun to include exhibits about his 1907 flight, highlighting his invention and the technical challenges he overcame. Engineering and aviation students also study his contributions as part of the broader history of flight innovation. Yet despite these acknowledgments, Cornu is still far less well known than figures like the Wright brothers or Igor Sikorsky. His story serves as an important reminder that major technological breakthroughs are rarely the work of a single genius. Innovation is a cumulative process built on the efforts of many individuals, including those whose names have largely been forgotten. Cornu's flight lasted only 20 seconds and barely lifted off the ground, but it proved that human-controlled vertical flight was possible. This daring achievement laid the groundwork for future helicopter development. Today, helicopters are essential in countless areas, from rescue operations and medical transport to military missions, and none of this would have been possible without the courage, creativity, and persistence of pioneers like Paul Cornu. His story highlights the importance of remembering and honoring the early innovators whose risks and ideas shaped the technologies we often take for granted. The helicopter didn't appear overnight. It was the result of a daring imagination and a mind determined to solve challenges no one else had cracked. By revisiting the work of the true father of the helicopter, we honor the innovation, experimentation, and persistence that moved aviation into a new era. Which part of his journey surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what stood out to you. If this video helped shine a light on a visionary forgotten by many, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who appreciates hidden history. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring the stories behind the world's greatest inventions.